So guys, for the listeners, I wonder if you could just give us an idea of what Jotun does. What's your sort of business area? And I'm particularly interested about the penguin on your logo. I wonder if you could let me know the origin of that.
Yeah. What Jotun does, we are a major Norwegian company making manufacturing paint in 40 countries around the world. We do industrial paint, coatings, ship paints, and domestic paint like interior, exterior, for all kinds of houses. And in Scandinavia, especially in the wooden houses. Regarding our logo, the penguin, I guess it's not by coincidence. It's the penguin is a tough little guy that can survive and outlive most environments. So I guess it's a sign of tough, good product.
Makes complete sense. They always say a picture paints 1,000 words, don't they? So that makes sense. So as you discussed, it's obviously the penguin is part of your brand, and for a global company like you, branding is incredibly important. So how important is packaging at all levels, from sort of primary, secondary, tertiary packaging? How important is for you guys?
Branding is, of course, our most important thing when packaging. Our packaging and pallets with paint are going directly into the stores, and it's important to look good and to have a good branding, and also to have a very good packing for transport, as many of the transportation is going over bumpy roads in Norway, and we don't want them to spill off before they arrive to the shop. So many factors here around packaging, of course.
No, that makes sense. As saying the same with secondary packaging, isn't it? There's the concept of shelf ready, where something is ready to put straight on a supermarket shelves. You guys need it to be presentable, facing the right way in the hardware store. Yeah, no, I get it. So obviously, to create packaging that's complementary to your brand, you have to have a very strong supplier criteria. How do you rate your suppliers? What do you look for in suppliers and the solutions they provide, especially in terms of packaging?
We look for quality. We look for HSE. Yes, we look for cost, but compared with the factors, of course. And we also see after how the company is organized when it comes to engineering, planning, and what kind of experience they have when it comes to commissioning and installation.
You mentioned speed as well, I believe, earlier. How important is packaging not to become the bottleneck in your plant?
We approached Clevertech because we were looking for a supplier that could increase the speed in our existing production, increase the volumes, and in order to be able to do so, it is needed with high quality supplier. So with a good experience in this field. So this started actually what should I say? The business with Clevertech.
One of the other things you mentioned earlier was sustainability, and I understand your company has a very strong sustainability ethic. Can you tell us, with regards to your packaging specifically, how you are intervening and creating more sustainable processes?
We can take a very simple example in this project and the delivery from Clevertech. We have purchased wrapping machine for pallets. This machine is not only fast, but it's also we get much more out of the plastic wrapping. So we have actually reduced our plastic consumption by, I don't remember how many tons per year, but there's really a lot. And without reducing the quality of the packaging. So this is just a simple example for how it is possible to reduce consumption of plastic.
I guess hand in hand with that, you were talking about Norway's bumpy roads as well. The less spillages, there's less waste and less. So yeah.
I think we reduced with 4 tons of plastic the first after the first startup actually.
Wow, it's impressive.
This is a thin film of plastic, so it's.
That's incredible. If you think, thin film saving 4 tons, that's a lot of plastic to save. That's an amazing figure. What about actually collaborating with the company as an entity? How did you find working with the guys at Clevertech?
I think the introduction was a little by coincidence because we had a filling machine supplier in France that had experience with Clevertech, and they suggested and promoted Clevertech as a good partner for some of the equipment in the filling line area. We had after the first meeting, we saw that this was a company that was very good at adopting the customer's need. They are flexible. They can do customization of machinery. And as Alexander said, the both engineering, planning, all the way through installation and commissioning. We found that we were very happy with the cooperation.
So with regards to the technology you use from Clevertech, how effective was this solution with regards to the savings and what you actually needed it to do in your production process?
Well, we had this project in a factory with 4 quite high automated filling lines. And we reduced these 4 filling lines down to 2 lines. So it was a reduction on the machinery side, but the output is increased dramatically. So that is the result. The amount we also reduced the amount of operators by from 12 down to 8. So what should I say? It was a quite good investment. Yeah.
So I'm guessing, obviously, if your throughput goes up, you have to make sure that you've got the packaging capability to handle that extra throughput.
Yeah, correct. So reduced from 4 to 2 lines and increased the output.
It's it's amazing. I mean, with automation and the modern digitalization, just how performances are going through the roof. They're just everything is just becoming faster, more accurate, higher quality, and it's a fascinating trend to watch. So you mentioned earlier about saving 4 tons of plastic per year, which is hugely impressive considering the thin film. Have you got any other sort of metrics or figures that you can give us with regards to the savings? I mean, I'm looking at maybe sort of, you mentioned manual handling, you've reduced staffing levels down by 12 to 8, but what about sort of productivity and throughput? Was the machine enabling you to go faster, quicker, better?
Absolutely. I don't have any figures. The previous machines, they had speed levels at kind of 14, 17 cans per minute. Yeah.
But I think maybe the annual output is more interesting, because I think we had a factory that had the output on 20 million liters, and we increased it to 30 with the reduction from 4 to 2 filling lines. So I think that's some main figures.
Yeah, 50%. Yeah, that's a huge output jump, isn't it? And that was investment at new machines in the filling line, or was it improvements of existing technology?
That is completely new filling lines.
So it was almost like a greenfield investment. You took everything out and started anew.
Yeah. With the end of line investment as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And also with the challenge that we were doing this in an existing building by removing all the old stuff and installed this installation in the same room. Wow. So that is also a challenge both for us as a project owner and for the supplier.
Machine supplier. Yeah.
No, I can imagine. In fact, I know that one of Clevertech's real plus points is its ability to adapt its technology to match available real estate within a factory. I mean, in this case, did you have an unusual shape or a smaller shape, or how did you challenge the Clevertech guys to fit their technology in your space?
Limited footprint, of course. Limitation of height in the room, and elevations. Yeah, output to the basement. Yeah. So there are many obstacles here.
And this project was after not a lot, but some meetings with Clevertech. The project was maturing, and we found better and better solutions. And in this process, we saw that they were very, very good at coming up with new ideas, multiple choices for equipment, different type of palletizing equipment. So I think the base was really good.
As you mentioned, integration is an essential element, especially in modern operations now. You have these new mixing machines, you have a new packaging solution. Did it all talk to each other nicely? Did it all connect? Did it all connect to the enterprise? What was your experience of the ability to merge the Clevertech technology digitally with your existing operations?
Yeah, that went well. It was, of course, preparation work up front with alignments with the different interfaces. But all this is interfaced with the ERP system on top and all the way down to the Clevertech supply. So it's working nicely. I have not heard anything.
So no news is good news, I guess.
No news is good news. Correct.
No, I think with open standards, and I know Clevertech are adamant that their technology, part of the whole installation process, is to make this integration as seamless and as effective as possible. So it's obviously you guys are a representation of that in action. So
yeah.
So obviously we've talked before about the preparation. You were saying about the preparation for the digital architecture, and we've talked about the floor space for the mechanical architecture. What about the behind the scenes? Support is an essential element of any commercial relationship. So how did Clevertech support you guys during the evaluation stage, the decision making, just the ideas in order to get the best system that match your needs?
Clevertech is very fast and professional when it comes directly to technical things shown on, for example, on good drawings. Fast supply on direct solutions to explain and talk about things on a layout instead of a Word document. So this was very helpful and professional. The engineering in general was
very good.
Very good. Yeah, so
But as I said earlier, so a project like this will needs to mature. Because you cannot, you will never find the best solution the first time. So it needs to be, it needs to mature and develop. And we were not familiar with all the options, possibilities, like you can take palletizing again. If we should use robots or palletizing machine, a multi-layer machine. So, but all this is Clevertech's really major knowledge.
So I guess you guys maybe have a shopping list of some extra features you might want to try as it goes along. And I know the software architecture is very adaptable and can mold to your uses. I know a lot of the technology will grow as you grow, I guess. So. So obviously the design support and the feature, the shopping list they gave you of ideas and concepts you can have, you were very well supported in that phase. What about the installation and the commissioning and the ramp up and the sort of the profit, moving to the profit making stage or the making money? How did Clevertech support you in that area?
To be honest, we had a very challenging time with Corona and COVID-19 situation just after the startup. So I assume it would be a little bit different, but nevertheless, actually it went quite good. The installation, very good. Very fast and on time. It was a huge challenge to do this in such a short time.
Yeah, the time factor, we planned this very well upfront.
Yeah.
Because we had 6-7 weeks to do the dismantling, remove the old equipment and
paint the floor.
Paint the floor
and wait a couple of days.
And then install a completely new filling area. So that was a challenge.
And start it. So this was a really huge challenge, but then when we came out in January, we went directly into production in the middle of January, and we had support from Clevertech at startup on site with technicians. Very good. But then with the COVID-19 situation, this kind of shut it down. It was not possible to visit us anymore, but we find good solutions with the remote help, videos, conference calls, remote access.
I think it's amazing how companies adapted.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Just everybody suddenly realized if we don't adapt, we die. You have to get going. And no, I've seen some amazing stories of factory acceptance testing being done over a Skype link and people using webcams looking into machines, and the fact that this is working, saving you money, saving you time, saving you effort, and some of it was done remotely. It's quite incredible. So
we mounted actually also a remote webcam on the Clevertech machine for the remote assistant actually.
So Clevertech technicians could follow the production. and do online adjustment and improvements.
Wow.
With the
No,
live
that's-
picture.
It's impressive. Long, real-time live adjustment of parameters and everything. It's so 10 years ago that would have possibly been impossible, but now it's just a regular thing, isn't it? So
Yeah.
So a final couple of questions. I've jumped a couple because I think we've already answered them well enough. But the last two questions I think are really good ways to sort of sign off on a high note, or certainly from Clevertech's perspective. But so penultimate question. So if you had to do it all again, would you repeat the experience with Clevertech?
Repeat the experience. Yeah. I would very much like to do a project again. It was a lot of learning, of course, and maturing during this project, given the short time that was given. So
I would definitely
yeah.
both do it again with Clevertech, yes.
Yeah.
Because I think they really showed professionality on the complete project.
I would definitely also look for an increased scope of supply, merge more into the supply kind of. We had many different suppliers in these lines. So
we merged actually 4 suppliers into the filling lines. And it's a little, maybe Clevertech could be the major to keep it all together.
I understand what you mean, like the prime contractor to bring everything in. But I know Clevertech
maybe handle the interfaces and so on. So
head of interfaces, for example.
Yeah. In fact, it's interesting because looking at some of the other solutions they deliver, there are multiple different machines, but they have this, they create the same manuals, the same HMI interface, the same look and feel. So one operator, it doesn't matter what technology or where they're working on the line, they have the familiarity. And I know from other work with the company, they are certainly partnering with other companies in more vertical areas where they often find themselves co-located in a factory with the same guys either side of them. And so they create a relationship, and the integration is quicker, it's better, it's faster, and it's just there. So it's the way modern business, I think, is evolving, that partnerships where you can exploit the best of everybody is there. So the very final question. You mentioned that your introduction to Clevertech was via one of your other machinery suppliers. They suggested you might want to get in touch. How readily do you think you would be to recommend Clevertech to other companies?
We don't meet other companies this often, but but because we have, like Rune said in the introduction, we have 40 factories around the world. So yes, we are recommending Clevertech to the other factories, or to the other in the group, of course. Yeah, but this is a lot of variations. But to be a little bit honest, I would like to keep the best equipment for myself. So so if I recommend them, then I will have a competitor.
But we definitely recommend Clevertech as supplier to our group companies.
Yeah.
I suppose with the integration and the digitalization as well, you can create sort of best practice that could be shared across the different groups if everybody's using the same technology as well. So
yeah.
Good.